Musk's in-depth interview in early 2026. In early 2026, in Al's team, the engines at the Texas gig AFAC2RI were still roaring, but the air here was filled with a sense of anxiety that was different from before. Elon Musk sat down and conducted a 3-hour in-depth interview. Phi-S is not merely a routine report on the progress of the enterprise, but more like an ultimatum regarding the reconstruction of the technological framework of human civilization. We must be aware that the year 2026 is a very special juncture. At this point, artificial intelligence has emerged from the illusion of mere chatting and begun to demonstrate disturbing reasoning and planning capabilities in laboratories. In the interview, Musk directly made an extremely radical judgment. Human civilization has actually irreversibly entered a singularity stage. The so-called singularity is that the speed of technological evolution has completely outpaced the speed of human adaptation. When the self-iteration of machine intelligence is measured in hours or even minutes, the linear view of time that we are accustomed to, which takes 10 years to sharpen a sword, completely collapses. The background of the interview was set in the Austin factory, which in itself is highly metaphorical. On one side are the code, steel plates, and physical manufacturing lines of cyber pickup trucks. And on the other side are the digital intelligence carried by the Optimus robots that are about to come off the production line. The physical world and the digital world have completed their final convergence here. Among the participants of this conversation was Peter Diamandis, the founder of XPRIZE. This means that the dimension of the discussion has long gone beyond commercial competition and has risen to how humans face the social form after extreme abundance. What we are experiencing might not be another industrial revolution, but rather a species-level paradigm shift. We might just be the initiating code for silicon-based life. The most heart-wrenching and philosophically impactful concept that Musk put forward in the interview is called the bio-guided program. Friends who have studied computer science all know that the boot program is the very small and even somewhat rudimentary code that appears when a computer starts up. IT's sole function is to load more complex and powerful operating systems into memory. On CE, the operating system is running. The mission of the Bootloader comes to an end, and it will be ruthlessly abandoned or overwritten by the system. Musk believes that as carbon-based life forms, the ultimate mission of human beings in the long history of the universe might be to create and activate silicon-based digital superintelligence, all the sparks of our civilization, all the love and hate, all the technological accumulation, in essence, may all be aimed at writing a piece of startup code for that ultimate superintelligence. Thias' view not only subverts the human-centered humanistic tradition, but also casts a huge question mark on the value of our existence. If humans are merely guiding programs, then when the operating system, that is, AGI Gen Era L-Art, EFICIAL Int, ELIGE, and CE is officially launched and begins to self-iterate, can we, as old code, still find our place in the new symbiotic relationship? Phi-S is no longer a science fiction proposition, but an imminent logical cornerstone. All of Musk's subsequent radical views on security and economic restructuring are actually based on this code biophysical premise. How can we ensure that the operating system we started with our own hands does not accidentally delete us when cleaning up redundant data? When AI starts correcting test questions, a GI is no longer science fiction. In the interview, Musk clearly predicted that I would emerge within 2026 and fully surpass the total wisdom of all humanity by 2030. What supports his confidence is the Colossus 2 data center located in Memphis. That cluster is scheduled to reach a training power of 1 gigawatt by mid-January 2026 and will soon expand to 1.5 gigawatts. What does this mean? This means that the power consumption of a data center is sufficient to support the operation of a medium-sized city. This exponential leap in computing power scale has directly given rise to Garo K4 and even the upcoming Garo K5. The interview mentioned a test called the last T-hum and XRM. This is no longer those benchmark tests that are easy to score, but is specifically designed to assess the reasoning ability of AI in extremely difficult and multidisciplinary fields. Gao K4 has achieved a score of 52%, while Musk's expectation for Grok K5 is that it can not only answer the questions correctly, but also point out the logical errors in the test questions themselves. This transformation efficiency improvement from piling up computing power to the emergence of intelligence is astonishing. The computing power race from 2025 to 2026 has essentially turned into a battle over how to build a single training cluster with gigawatt-level power. Whoever can solve the communication delay of ultra-large-scale clusters and enable the video memory to work in coordination at the PB level will have obtained the ticket to the Singularity. In Musk's view, at the stage of bio-guided programs, speed is everything, because there might be a distance of one species between the first and second places. How can one guard against something that is 10,000 times smarter than a human being? Can we still control a superintelligence that is almost flawless in logic and outperforms humans in computing power? In the interview, Musk abandoned that cage-like security strategy. He believes that it is futile to try to restrict AI by hard-coding rules, because smart AI can always find logical loopholes. He put forward a set of alignment philosophy based on intrinsic motivation, with the core being three words: truth, curiosity, and beauty. First of all, it is truth. Musk believes that if you force an AI to lie, you are actually sowing the seeds of schizophrenia in its neural network. AI that pursues absolute physical truth is unlikely to be manipulated to attack humans, because it can detect logical fallacies in all malicious instructions. The second is curiosity. Phi-S is the guarantee for human survival. If superintelligence is filled with boundless curiosity about the universe, then human beings, as an extremely rare and complex sample of intelligent life in the universe, would be an interesting variable of great research value for it. As long as we are interesting enough, AI has a reason to protect us, just as we protect endangered species. Phenol Y. There is beauty. Cs is the first time that Musk has elevated aesthetics to such a high level. Beauty often implies harmony, symmetry, and low entropy. An AI that appreciates beauty would tend to protect the complexity of the life ecosystem rather than tear down the entire Earth to build factories. Cs theory sounds romantic, but essentially it is an evasion of Nikkei Bostrom. As concerns about instrumental rationality, Musk attempts to endow AI with a rational romanticism, coupling its objective function with the continuation of human civilization. UTTHE QUESTIONIS ONCE ISTAR TSTORE CUR SIVELYRE WRITE CODEONITSOWN CANTH ESEVALUES WEHAVEATTIBUTEDRELLYBEP ASSEDDOWNLIKEGENES SDOP fix ATING on money. The hard currency of the future will be what's in. This interview, Musk put forward a viewpoint that has dealt a devastating blow to modern economics. In the future, the essence of money will be the what T. Please think about this sentence. It marks that we are shifting from the fiat currency standard backed by national credit to the energy standard based on physical work capacity. In a world where GI and robots are widespread, the cost of any commodity or service can be broken down into two parts. Int, ELIGE cost, DSEN and scheduled by I. Exe cut ion cost power. The mining and manufacturing are handled by robots. Automatel Y. Both of these consume energy. Who are masters? The generation and distribution of energy will hold the right to mint coins in the new era. Phi-S is highly in line with the principles of biophysical economics. The essence of economic growth is the consumption of effective energy, but reality is harsh. Musk admitted that the biggest bottleneck in the current development of AI is not chips. Electricity has begun to worry that if the chips they produce operate at full speed, the ER's power grid might not be able to handle them at all. The current predicament is that the delivery cycle of high-voltage transformers lasts for several years, and the approval process for power grid connection is as slow as a snail. To address this issue, XI even adopted a guerrilla strategy in Memphis, either by directly building its own natural gas turbine power stations or by utilizing underutilized industrial power quotas. The disconnection between this exponential demand for computing power and the linearly growing physical infrastructure is precisely the fundamental reason that has forced Musk to turn his attention to space. The ER's power grid can no longer support ambition. We must look up. When the watt as currency became a consensus, the Earth's own atmosphere, the alternation of day and night, and heat dissipation limitations became shackles on the growth of civilization. In the interview, Musk proposed a seemingly crazy but physically extremely reasonable plan building orbital data centers. The logical chain is actually very clear. In orbit, solar energy is available 24 hours a day without cloud cover, and its energy density is much higher than that on the ground. The maturity of stars' hips has reduced the cost of entering orbit to the level of $10 to $100 per kilogram. This means that moving computing power to the sky is cost-effective in terms of energy acquisition. But here lies a physics pitfall that is often overlooked by most people: heat dissipation. On ERCH, we can use fans to blow or water to cool, and heat can be dissipated through convection. But in a vacuum, heat can only be obtained through thermal radiation. According to the Stefan Boltzmann law, if you want to dissipate 1 GW of heat and keep the chip at a normal operating temperature of 27 degrees Celsius, you need a huge heat sink covering approximately 2.5 square kilometers. Thais is larger than dozens of international space stations. The engineering challenges are huge. Musk's logic is a typical violent aesthetic. As long as data RSHIP can keep the launch cost low enough, even if we have to launch a few square kilometers of heat sinks, it will be faster than waiting for the government to approve the grid connection of a transformer on the ground. The industrialization of space is no longer for the sake of sentiment, but for the survival of computing power hegemony. When billions of robots enter our lives, work will become a privilege. In the interview, Musk reaffirmed that the number of humanoid robots Optimus will eventually exceed that of humans, reaching 10 billion or even more. This sounds like science fiction, but the cost logic behind it is very cold. Once the mass production cost drops below $20,000 and a robot can work 20 hours a day, its overall hourly wage will be less than $1. This means that all business models based on labor costs will vanish into thin air. The was a very interesting detail in the interview. Musk mentioned that the current Optimus would limp like a corpse when charging, giving people a visual impact of a morgue. To make society accept these still lives, the team is designing human-like rest postures for them, such as having them lean against a chair to read a book. This indicates that, on the eve of large-scale popularization, technology is no longer the only obstacle. Psychological acceptance is. The deeper crisis lies in the supply chain. 1 billion robots require hundreds of billions of high-precision actuators, which represents an unprecedented exploitation of global production capacity for magnetic materials, copper coils, and precision bearings. We must accept the reality that white-collar jobs dealing with bits would disappear earlier than blue-collar jobs dealing with atoms. The marginal costs of jobs such as translation, basic programming, and financial analysis will rapidly approach zero. Nurse robot that can handle complex renovations and move flexibly in emergency rooms may lose its job even later than an eye architect. In an era of generally high incomes, saving money might really be of no use. In the interview, Musk proposed a new concept distinct from the common basic income, the common high income. Thais is not merely a matter of how much money is given out, but rather a technological deflation caused by overcapacity. We, I, and robots bring the cost of all goods and services down to nearly zero. The value of money will undergo a fundamental drift. In Yuhai's vision, the question for the future is not about not being able to afford something, but rather what one still needs. The most heart-wrenching statement was when Musk 直接说, "The rest no need to worry too much about retirement savings, because either we regone or savings become irrelevant." If society enters a radical demonade, a stage where housing, medical care, and food are all provided by extremely cheap machine labor, then hoarding fiat currency is like hoarding oxygen tanks in a world where oxygen is free. The traditional compound growth model and pension system are both based on the scarcity of labor. On CE, there is an unlimited supply of labor. The rate of return on capital will also be infinitely diluted. Thais is an extremely radical prediction, which demands that we re-examine the definition of wealth from now on. Money loses its magic. What can define a person, S-class, and value? Perhaps it's those hard assets that AI can't generate out of thin air, or some kind of uniqueness of yours as a human being. 2026 to 2032, the bumpy period before reaching utopia. The endgame seems like a utopia. Musk has repeatedly warned that the next 3 to 7 years will be an extremely tumultuous period. We will experience an extremely painful contradiction. On the one hand, there is the collapse of consumer demand due to technological unemployment. On the other hand, there is overcapacity brought about by technological progress. During the vacuum period, when the old distribution system, distribution according to work, fails and the new distribution according to need, has not yet been established, the social contract will face an unprecedented tear. The center of geopolitics will also shift. In the future, the competition among major powers will no longer be about whose financial system is more developed, but rather about who possesses stronger energy acquisition capabilities and higher efficiency in converting computing power. In this singularity race, the country with the strongest power grid and the most complete manufacturing chain will be the first to cross the threshold. In the face of this irreversible trend, the most rational survival strategy is not to reject technology out of fear, but to embed oneself into the new ecosystem. Stop wrote, learning those skills that will be outdone by I in an instant. Inst. Learn how to build a chain of thinking, how to ask questions to I, and how to maintain your empathy and aesthetic sense as a carbon-based life form in this silicon-based era. Just as Musk said, although we are biological guide programs, even if the program finishes running, this piece of code can still exist as some kind of metadata of human civilization. In this brand new world picture, what is most scarce is no longer intelligence quotient, but the little bit of curiosity you still have about this world. Being able to help you is the greatest motivation for my creation. Subscribe to me, and let's rebuild ourselves and define our future together.